Reardon. I'm a client relationship specialist in HR operations for MSD.
Perfect. So, Lucy, just to start, question one, in your opinion, do you think AI will have a positive or negative impact on job creation in the Irish manufacturing sector in the future?
I think it'll have a positive impact, and I think that's in terms of the type of roles that it will be creating, in the sense that there'll be more value-added positions, not the old traditional, say, manufacturing roles that we would have had in Ireland in manufacturing.
And do you think, just from your own time in MSD, do you think, for example, if there was a production line, do you think those workers that might be left off, do you think there'll be opportunities for further training and development for them?
What do you mean by left off? If they were replaced by AI?
Yeah, so say if they were replaced by AI or robotics.
Yeah. I think as a company we would definitely be looking at educational opportunities and we constantly do it anyway to try and upskill people. I just kind of think that there is a change or a dynamic that's going to occur in industry where you are, and you see it now in hiring, right? You're hiring even into those old traditional manufacturing roles. You're looking to hire professionals into those roles, so people with third level qualifications, because they want to do more, they want to kind of get out of it. Whereas in the older industries, and we would see it in our business as well, you would have some of those people in those traditional manufacturing roles, they don't want to do the further education. They're content and happy in what they do. They come in, do their job every day, which is fine. You need a certain number of people to come in and do their role. But with changes, and AI is going to come, and it is going to drive changes, I think that is going to change things for a number of people and what you do with them in that sense. Some will go with the change, and others I think it's going to be a more difficult transition for them. The company will clearly offer them opportunities on education and placement in different areas if they're suitable roles. But I think for some, depending on when or what the AI would be, there may be no choice but to exit the business.
Perfect. Thanks, Lucy. And just moving on to question 2. In your opinion, do you think AI will impact on staff morale?
I think it will. And again, I think to the previous answer, I think it can influence positively or impact positively or negatively. I think where you're hiring, again, it's back to a lot of positions now are being hired requiring a third level qualification. Even say for operator level positions, we require third level qualifications. That's because you're always wanting to be promoting out of that group. So you should always be hiring into the lowest level in your organisation and then promoting upwards from that. So pulling people out of there into your technical specialist, professional kind of ranges. I think in terms of the negative impact on it, I think some people have a fear of change. Some people would have a fear of AI and what that would automatically mean for them and their roles, and they would see it as threatening. And I think that could have a detrimental impact on groups of employees, or a difficult impact on groups of employees. And I think that can depend on where you are in your business cycle. In terms of there's a lot there, I think, responsibility on the business in terms of continuous education, development, communication, culture in your organisation, to bring people along with the change as it's been occurring, as opposed to it coming in and being a big bang. So because people see change coming, it's just that some people look at it and kind of say, well, how is this impacting me? And they resist against it, as opposed to kind of take it as an opportunity. And I think the company, as a leader in this, the leadership team, etc., they have a huge responsibility in terms of trying to bring their employees and their workforce along, which can have an outcome in terms of how it impacts on staff morale, positively or negatively.
Thanks, Lucy. Just on that point again, what do you think is the biggest speed bump? Do you think it's the fear of the unknown, or the fear probably a lot of people don't have an understanding of AI?
I think it's a fear of the unknown and a resistance to change. As human beings, it's in our DNA to resist change because we're unsure of what that means for us, and it's a defense mechanism, I think, for us within our makeup and our DNA. So I think it's fear of the unknown and a resistance to change.
Do you think, say obviously, for example, you had a production line and there was 5 people on the production line and 4 were let go say because AI came in or there was an AI process that was able to do the job and there was one remaining employee.
Yeah.
Do you think there's that remaining employee will have maybe a fear of guilt that they're the only surviving employee?
Well, I think that would depend on your process for selection of people exiting your business. Because in terms of whether this turns out to be a voluntary or an involuntary program. Because again, depending on, say, the life cycle of your site or your industry. So us, for example, we're here 35 years. We have a number of employees who are here long serving, exiting the business because of new AI initiatives or whichever it is maybe coming in, might just hit the right time for them in their life cycle. So they might be a couple of years off retirement, get a redundancy package, could be perfect timing to go. Whereas other people, they might be kind of saying, Christ, they have families to support, whatever it is, difficult market to kind of get employment in out there because they don't have the education or the skill set, they haven't upskilled. So I think it's an easy question, but a difficult one to answer.
Okay.
I think for individuals, depending on their circumstances.
Perfect. Thanks, Lucy. Let's just move on to question 3. In your opinion, what do you think is causing this increased demand for AI in the Irish manufacturing sector?
I think increased demand for AI. I suppose just technology. I think there's a few things. I think technology, I suppose the advancements in technology, I think are one thing, right? It's a natural evolution of increased technology or improved technology, and AI. Sure, you see it. Everybody has it at home as well with those, iPads and the advertisements of fridges will be ordering your groceries for you in the future. I think in terms of adding more value add to your business, you want to take out those non-value added roles. So, and if there's a more efficient or effective way, and if AI makes something more efficient and effective, then you can take out then what you see as non-value added roles. So that could be where a system is doing something, like say if a system the artificial intelligence can change a light bulb, then why would you be paying a craft to do it?
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. It's non-value added to have that craft changing a light bulb. If it's a standard thing that can be kind of done every day. I think cost pressures on business. I think if they invest, I think there's a long-term vision. If they invest in AI and improvements in their business, it gives them a better long-term future, a long-term perspective. I think in multinationals, it can be in terms of strategic placement within our network. So we're one of a number of manufacturing sites within our company. So good investment in AI may place us better strategically within the manufacturing network of the company, and therefore future investment may come to this site because of that. So I think there are a number of factors.
Thanks, Lucy. Do you think, say if you heard one of your competitors was introducing an AI process, would it worry MSD, do you think?
Not necessarily. I'm not sure it would worry. Well, maybe it would. I don't know, I suppose, at those strategic levels. But I think it's something that the company would constantly keep an eye on. And you do that, I suppose, in terms of where you are within manufacturing. So there's obviously competitors out there that manufacture products similar, the same as us. And if they have AI in place, which makes them more effective, efficient, makes the product better for the end user from a product perspective and a cost perspective, then that obviously adds pressure to us as a business. And we would need to look at, that would impact on our cost because it makes us then cost prohibitive.
Okay.
So I think they would definitely, I think that's constantly done in the industry. They definitely be keeping an eye on what changes are taking place in different businesses or industries.
Perfect. Thanks, Lucy. And just moving on to question 4. In your opinion, do you think AI is threatening job security in the Irish manufacturing sector?
I think it can be seen as a threat to the traditional manufacturing roles of, say, your process operative technicians, where you could get a machine or AI to do something that you don't need. You program it to do something, it does it efficiently, it follows every rule that's programmed into it to do, as opposed to it can do it then faster than one piece of AI rather than 10 operators on a shift, will that make it more effective and efficient for the business? And also it's more sterile, more clean, whichever it is. So I think some of the traditional roles, I think it can be seen as a threat to job security. And we would see that, and I think you would see that, and you'd hear about that, where businesses are trying to bring in change and you have an automatic resistance to it because it threatens the job security of the individuals.
Perfect. Thanks, Lucy. And moving on to question 5. In your opinion, do you think AI is causing mental health problems for staff?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Yeah, I think it can cause. I think linking it back to say the previous questions, in terms of threatening job security, in terms of a positive or negative impact on job creation, I think it can if it causes stressors for individuals. Because people, again, have that fear of what does the future hold and what does this mean for me. So if you've got somebody who's worked in a business here for 25 years, they've worked in the same area, the same department, or the same job, and then you're bringing in AI that's going to, we sell it as making the business more efficient and effective and will make their jobs better and the shift better and all that kind of stuff. I think that can start to cause stress for individuals because in the sense of, well, what does that mean for my future? They will then start looking to the future and kind of say, well, what does that mean for me? The company is trying to manage me out from a, changeover perspective or bringing in AI. So I think people could see that as a stress. I think you might see kind of stress-related issues kind of coming up.
Just going back as well to our production line, as an example, if you had a group, 4 or 5 people working together for the last 10, 15 years, they've obviously developed a close bond. And maybe if that team gets broken up or, they've... Do you think that will cause mental health problems?
I think so. I mean, I think if they work on the same shifts all the time, right, these are the people that are here, like that shift are the ones on site at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. When they're then down off shift, they can socialise together and you see groups kind of doing golfing or whatever it is. So if you're then breaking up that shift because you're either moving it around because it changes or you're bringing in AI or whatever it is, I think it can. I think there is a possibility of that. I think on the professional side of the business, where, say, from your technical specialist engineers, I think they will embrace the AI more and quicker on the scale because they would see it as improvements, and I think they would be more energised and excited by stuff coming in because we've seen it here where we were bringing in a piece of equipment and like nearly every engineer, it was something happening at a weekend and nearly every engineer in the place wants to be here at the weekend even though they didn't need to be to see something coming in. That they're just energised and excited by it and they want to kind of get in under the hood and kind of check it out and see everything that it can do and all that kind of thing.
What do you think, say, look, I suppose we're looking maybe 15, 20 years down the road, but if this AI does take over and does come in more mainstream in business, has MSD thought about what they're going to do for staff to combat those mental health problems?
Well, I suppose we would constantly be doing wellness. We have a wellness program on site and we're launching a wellness program across the country. And I know a number of the countries across, we have a global kind of wellness program and wellness initiatives. And I know it's been launched kind of in the UK and is launching in has launched in some of the other European countries, the US, etc. And I think we're launching ours later this year. So we would be constantly kind of doing work around and stuff around kind of wellness in the workplace. Having talks and programs and initiatives in on-site to kind of help and putting in resources to kind of help people as well where they're kind of having mental health issues, either they be work-related or non-work-related, as an overall well-being program for employees. So I think the company is fairly cognizant of it.
Perfect. Thanks, Lucy. And just moving on to question 6. In your opinion, what factors do you think will drive the uptake in AI in the Irish manufacturing sector?
I think things such as globalisation in organisations. So we're part of a global company. So I think globalisation of work in organisations. I think future-proofing your business. We want to be the best at what we do. We want to be a market leader in some of what we do. And we want to kind of position ourselves well within the marketplace. I think from a site perspective, like even kind of more micro kind of things, how we position ourselves as a site within, I suppose, our global network, how we want to be, I suppose, how we want to respond to kind of changes, right? So AI enables you to be to respond faster to change. I think because again, it's not taking from having to talk to and work with people. If you've got a piece of equipment there, it's easier to program that to kind of make a change on a system than it is to kind of train individuals perhaps to do it. So it can help you be more reactive. It can, I suppose, proactive and reactive to respond quicker, and then proactive in terms of planning your business for the future.
Perfect. Thanks, Lucy. And just moving on to question 7. In your opinion, do you think companies or government need to develop a governance structure in order to regulate and monitor AI?
I believe they do, and they should, and they will. But I believe looking at the way that, I suppose if you look at the internet as an example, how that took off in the last, 20, 25 years, whichever it is, however long it's in place, we're slower to, as companies and governments, I think government definitely, is slower to respond in terms of putting in the governance that's required. So it seems like the item takes off, so internet took off, AI would take off, and then governments tend to respond slower and kind of suddenly realise the need to put in regulation or governance. So I think that's they seem to be more reactive than proactive in terms of it.
Who do you think should drive it? Should it be the company or the government? Or, for example, from an MSD point of view, would you like to be regulate yourself, or would you like to be regulated by a government and then know everyone is playing by the same rules?
I think it's I think that correct. Yeah, I mean, I suppose I work for a company where I believe that we have very strong ethics.
Yeah.
And we have very strong governance. Our industry drives that, and I think our leadership team as a company drives that. So very often we do more than government requires us to do. I think direction should come from government, because I think it should be driven by a GDPR as an example, right? So that's being driven by European regulations. So it's a one standard fits all across EMEA and across the EU. And what our company has done actually is that we've taken that and kind of said, well, actually, we're going to apply that globally. So GDPR is only a European requirement in terms of data management and data protection, but as a company, Merck is taking it on as a global requirement to make it easier. So we've gone one step further to, I suppose, make it more efficient and manageable in our business. I do think direction should come from government, but I do think companies have a huge responsibility, because they're the ones actually dealing with it after the fact in terms of the AI and how it kind of, government doesn't manage it. The companies end up managing the AI, not the government.
Perfect. Thanks, Lucy. That's question 8. In your opinion, how can the laws of privacy change to accommodate the kind of surveillance necessary to control rogue AI?
How can the laws of privacy change?
So basically, in AI systems, right?
Yeah.
AI systems have the process and have the capability to learn. And say, for example, if you have an AI process that, say, places one vaccine from one belt onto another conveyor belt, that system can actually has the ability to learn, and maybe it might interfere with the product, might want to know more about the product. Okay. So do you think there's a surveillance necessary? So it's called rogue AI, so it's doing more than it should be doing. Do you think that there's controls and surveillance necessary to control that kind of a system or that kind of a process?
I do, but I think that's back to the previous question in terms of what government and companies do to regulate and monitor AI. I do think that there is a requirement to have something in place to control or to ensure that rogue AI does not occur. I mean, this sounds like the Terminator movie.
Well, for example, now, with GDPR, so if your AI systems has access to that data, they'll have the ability to learn more about that data if they keep getting in touch with it. So what's suggested basically from the research is that you can actually program controls into your system that will stop, so that your AI will do so much for you and it'll actually stop at a certain point. Yeah,
so I think that should be put in. I think that is, as part of, say, I suppose GDPR deals with companies and how we manage data, right? So as companies, but I think that should go further as AI kind of comes on board in terms of that it should be built in, that like your AI needs to have programs or controls in place. That means that if it's only supposed to be looking at a report, it's only going to deal with that report in very simplistic terms. Now, it's only going to deal with that report as opposed to it's not going to start delving into other kind of tools or information as well. I do think that there should be regulations in place to control that.
Perfect. And moving on to question 9, in your opinion, do you think AI can help improve ethical decision making within organisations? Would you be happy to let an AI system make an ethical decision for you?
No, because AI is clinical, So I suppose, I mean, it's back to your previous question in terms of AI learns, right? So, but it doesn't have a soul. It doesn't have that kind of.
Well, I'll give you an example. If you said MSD is a very ethical company, and I've no doubt it is, you could program your core beliefs, your core principles of your company, your mission statement into a system, and you have a problem. Would you be happy for that system to make the best ethical decision?
Well, no, because I think humans think differently.
Okay.
So, for example, right, so we have clinical trials, like for our products, people participate in clinical trials for our products, right? So if you built an AI program to manage the clinical trial, then the clinical trial requires 100 patients. So the clinical trial gets 100 patients. And then you have a patient in a country who is stage 4 melanoma or stage 5, whatever it is, and they are going to die, right? Nothing is going to cure them. They're not in the clinical trial, and then there's a hardship case made to the company, and the company decides to, it can't make them any worse. So somebody makes that decision to actually give the person the product and kind of say, we will extend and include them into the clinical trial. So the company makes that decision with the FDA or whomever it is, but that's made by people, as opposed to you programmed into your AI that, it's a clinical trial, it requires 100 people, it won't see that kind of need in the individual.
Perfect, yeah. So you wouldn't be happy?
I prefer human beings to be involved.
No problem. And just on the last question, Lucy, can you make any recommendations for future HR managers based on our discussion today to best protect employees' well-being and job security in relation to AI?
I think we need to do more as an organisation in terms of in organisations in terms of well-being and wellness programmes. And I think as in companies, I think we need to do more from a culture perspective in terms of what we want our people to do. And I'm not sure we necessarily do that. So there's so much pressure on people in companies to kind of just get the job done that sometimes we push away that HR, that people kind of side of it, whereas actually we should be pulling people back in, being front and centre, because they're going to be the ones impacted.
Has MSD, just out of my own interest, has MSD looked at like any springboard or anything like that to, I know there's springboard programs that you can bring people in and they can learn the business and you could teach them about AI. I think they can come in for 3-4 months or something like that.
I've been bringing people in to teach us about the AI and things.
No. Like, so you'd bring people in. Like, I remember, JobBridge was kind of another example of it. Yeah. You could bring people in for 3-4 months, teach them your business, and you can teach them about AI, and you can. Obviously, maybe it's a stepping stone for a full-time position in MSD or a different company.
Yeah, so we have, so we do. I suppose we have our standard kind of graduate and intern placement programs, where we bring in college students and give them kind of, the co-op placements as their third-year placement, and they get experience. And then we have a graduate program for post-qualified and bring people in that way as well. And then there are other programs kind of, they're run by some of those learning and development kind of forums, and they look for kind of work placements for some of their people for 6 or 12 weeks or whatever. We support some of those as well, and kind of bring them into, they're looking for just work experience as part of their programs. We bring people in for those as well, for some of those.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Lucy. I'll just stop the recording there now.
No problem.